If you are new here, my name is Phoebe, and below the camera is my little dog Mia. Flying into Metro Airport was really scary, especially because there was so many people and I can't see. That was the first time I have ever flown by myself. Second time I have ever flown in my life from China to the United States, and in this particular case from my living quarters into Detroit. I received help after I got off the airplane, and the young gentleman that helped me, I was put into a wheelchair because I guess it's easier to maneuver a blind person around whenever you don't have to tell them directions. You just plop them in the wheelchair. And sometimes people think when you're blind, you don't have other abilities either. You can't hear, you can't walk, you can't do anything. And it's like, no, I can still walk and I can still hear, I just can't see. Like, that's my main problem, I can't see. And I told the young gentleman, I said, we need to go to the luggage area. That was where Leader Dogs for the Blind told us to meet them, and they took care of everything. It was all free. This young gentleman, I was really awkward because I didn't know what to say, and it was just, he was pushing my wheelchair, and I felt like a fraud because I'm like, I can walk, and yet I'm in this wheelchair, and this guy's like oddly quiet behind me. It was a little weird. So whenever we got to the luggage area, this guy comes up. He's an older guy. He's one of the volunteers at Leader Dogs for the Blind who goes to that airport like every week picking up clients. He comes up and he's like, so are you Phoebe? And dumbly enough, I was like, yes, I'm Phoebe. I kind of assumed that he was someone at Leader Dog, but everything was adrenaline at this point. I was not in my right mind. I was like, yeah, because we were trying to look for my luggage and we couldn't find it. And then I walk over to this cluster of people with suitcases. And when I got closer, I could see white sticks. And this one young woman had a dog. And that's when I began to realize that these are also clients of Leader Dog. As we drove into the Leader Dog campus, I was amazed at how big it was. There was 2 buildings. There's one which is known as the Puppy Development Center. That is where all the puppies go in training or otherwise. That's where all the veterinarians are too, so that the dogs have the best care humanly possible. And then behind that building is the Polk residence. That's where I stayed for 3 weeks to bond with my new guide dog. There's another string of students who was there for their cane training. It was really cool because I got to see them go from this scared person to this very independent person, scared because they are losing their sight. And that is a mental barrier that all of us who loses sight has to go through. In the hallway at Leader Dogs, there is blue strips down the hallway. The hallway is mainly white, but then there's blue strips, and that is a color contrast. And that helped me a lot because I mainly rely on color contrast. In the middle of the hallway, there's an intersection, and in that center is truncated domes or little bumps to let you know that there is an intersection there. And I thought that was a really unique design in the Polk residence. And there's also a railing to let you know. So there's like little bumps behind the railing to let you know that there's a room across from the railing, and I thought that was really cool. So I was walking down the hallway with my cane and I found my room. And my room was so cozy, like it was like a hotel. It was just so cozy. So I rested up, went and got dinner, and the next day was the first day of Juno training. The next day is when training really began. So the first 2 days of guide dog training is known as Juno training. Juno is an invisible fake dog that the trainers use to help us clients learn the different commands and different hand movements so that when we get our real dogs, we know how to do all that. The second day is known to me as Bad Juno, and I call it that because the second day is when Juno is not as well behaved as the first day. First day, he just focuses, goes straight, left, right, easy. The second day is when Juno will start sniffing things and trying to veer you off course, and you learn as a client how to navigate that and how to make sure Juno stays focused on the task at hand. But the third day is the most exciting day, and that is issue day. Issue day is whenever we get our dogs. I was nervously waiting for my trainer to come and arrive. So my trainer arrives and they tell me that my dog is a black Labrador retriever named Mia, and how much she weighs and when her birthday was and all those small little details. Then they walked in the door. I see this small Labrador retriever come leaping towards me, and she's just sniffing everything. She's just the happiest girl ever. And I gave her my first little treat. And this is a crucial part of the first few days with your guide dog. You want to be the only one to be giving those treats. You want to give a lot of positive reinforcement. So that's like a lot of the treats, a lot of the feeding, all the things that the dog will soon rely on you for. That will build that relationship. You don't want to give too many commands in the beginning because you want that relationship to be mainly associated with positivity. So after the trainer left, I was like, this is amazing. I was a little bit awkward because this was my first dog. And I was definitely very anxious, but I was like, I'm glad I made it through the first few days, and finally we are here. I have waited so long for this, as I know many people have. And so after the trainer left, Mia decided to whine a little bit. And later that day, after our bonding and after we got to know our dogs a little bit, I was informed that Mia got a little bit sick at the kennels, and it's no big deal, it's all good. She was just experiencing some minor sickness, and it just happened right before training. So that was something that was a little bit hard to navigate, and I began to really see that the full extent of it as the week progressed. I did not think too much of it in the beginning. It was just, okay, a little bit of sickness, that's okay, you know. But due to the environment change, the person change, I mean, these dogs trained with the trainer for 4 months. And now the trainer is totally ignoring them, and there's a new person here. And Mia was sick. So she, because of the stress, got more sick, and she wasn't eating, she had diarrhea. And she definitely took a lot of time to get to warm up to me. That first week was so hard. She wouldn't eat, and I would not eat too because I became stressed with her. And when I'm stressed, I also have trouble eating. And Mia would sit as far away from me as she could. I would try to sit down and pet her and talk to her, but she just didn't really want any of it. Meanwhile, we were doing training, we were learning how to be a guide dog team, and that aspect was fine. She was a little bit slow, but understandable. The first time I ever held the harness and told Mia forward, it was really strange because it was on the Leader Dog campus, and a lot of schools start on the campus and then go elsewhere. And the area where we were working our dogs, also next to us was a pen, and that's where the dogs typically play. So now I understand, after having Mia a really long time, that when she is excited, she will pull extra hard. So I was really confused in that beginning because I was like, all right, first of all, this dog is, sick or whatever, but then like at the same time, she has all this energy to work. Like, she still wanted to work despite her being sick. So I was like, okay. So she pulled so hard, and I was like, is this right for me? Like, she was like ripping out my arm. I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know how to navigate this right now. I thought it was just gonna be easy, and it was just the opposite. And then later, as we did more and more guide work together, I was like, okay, that must have been just her being excited. Because afterwards, like I said, she was a lot slower and her pull was a lot more gentle. During lunchtime or breakfast time, the trainers would have to come over and give her treats. to try to entice her to eat her medications, and she would cower, go under her chair, wouldn't play with her toys. There wasn't really anything. She had her walls absolutely up. One night I was really struggling with all this, and even though the guide dog training was kind of going well, she was still going really slow. And I was like, this is definitely not my speed. I walk a bit faster than this. Her sickness was getting better, but then it wouldn't. And a lot of the problems was her diarrhea. It would get a little bit better, but then it would get worse again. And it was just a lot. And one day I just kind of broke down and I cried. I had to leave my room because I was so upset, and I did not want to upset the dog anymore because she was already upset because she was sick and because the trainer that she had wasn't really interacting with her. And that's not anyone's fault. That's just part of the protocol. That's kind of the bonding. Some dogs do better, some dogs do, it takes them a little bit longer. I walked out of my room, I was pacing down the hall a little bit, and eventually I settled down in the lobby area in the front of the Leader Dog campus, the Polk residence, and I just sat and I was crying and very upset. One of the residence assistant's office person who was working over a night over shift, she comes over and she's like, hey, what's going on? I saw you walk past my office and didn't see you walk back into your room. I just wanted to check up on you. And I just broke down and I just cried. And I was telling her everything that was going on with Mia and how upset this whole situation has been, because it was a little over a week before she got better. And that's a good portion of training. And I was doubting myself. I got to see everyone else's dogs doing great, and everyone else's dogs was just progressing, and all the relationships, and everyone was just so happy. Their dogs were so snuggly, and my dog wasn't snuggly. And I was like, why is my dog not snuggly? What did I do? Why doesn't she like me? What's going on? What did I do wrong? I was considering quitting because it was just, it was really difficult, and there was definitely some issues. One of the biggest advice I got in training was not to compare yourself to anyone else, because it's not the best thing to compare yourself whenever someone else may be doing better in a section that you are not doing well, and then you tend to doubt yourself. After a while, she was getting better a little bit, not as far as I would liked, but it was getting a lot better. And I was talking to a lot of support and a lot of friends, and they told me, Phoebe, at least this is happening at Leader Dogs, where there's a lot of veterinarians, a lot of help, and you know the signs now. When you go home, you know the signs of sickness, and you know what to do because you already experienced it. I remember the trainer said, even though you didn't know the dog and she was sick, you put in so much more than we expected of you, because I would literally sit with this dog and just try my best to soothe her, even though she just wanted nothing to do with me. She just wanted her space. She didn't want to play with her toys. She was like, I'll work for you, but that's it. I don't want anything to do with you right now. And so to show that I am going to be there for her despite the issues that was going on, I think that made our bond ultimately stronger, even though at the time I didn't know what was going on. So after having the conversation with the residence assistants, I was going to just quit and not go to training the next day. But after talking with the residence assistance person, I was like, I need to be strong for Mia, and I will continue the training and continue being the best handler that I can be, and just show her and continue to show her that I will be there for her. The residence assistance person literally was the best. She is the reason why I didn't quit. And so therefore, thank you to those who do work at the Leader Dog campus or volunteer. It's just, It's a lot whenever you go onto campus, you go into an area that you don't know, and be around a lot of people who are already high emotioned because this is probably their first time dealing with being around that many other people with a blindness, and then also dealing with having your dog for the first time and learning to navigate that. At Leader Dog, there was a really strict schedule, so learning all of that, it was just a high emotional state, and the trainers tried to minimize all the stress by just telling us not to compare and that we were all doing well. But again, when you are in a high emotional state, it's really hard to follow that advice. Thank you for watching, and that was my spiel of the first week at Leader Dogs for the Blind. It was definitely not what I expected, and I just want to paint a realistic picture of what could happen, not necessarily saying everyone's dog will get sick, but just that sometimes it takes a long time for your dog to bond, or for any dog for that matter. So if you like this video, go ahead and drop a like and comment down below what you think, what your story is, and if you have any questions. And go ahead and check out these videos that YouTube is suggesting.